Hello everybody and welcome to this gentle, relaxing Hatha yoga flow. You don't need any equipment for this class, so if you've got a mat and maybe grab a water, then you are all set and ready to go. So let's make a start. We're going to start in a lying position today. So bring yourselves down to your back and maybe keeping your knees bent if that feels better and more comfortable on your lower back. Otherwise, let's bring our legs out straight along the mat and the gaze comes up towards the ceiling. And if you're comfortable to bring a close into your eyes, then close your eyes down now. And we're just going to take this moment to land ourselves into this space, knowing that for the next 20 minutes you're doing something that is good for you. And just noticing how the body feels now, and knowing that if there are any aches and pains, just be mindful of these as you move through the different postures and poses today. And if anything feels painful, then it is your body signalling for you to stop and to come back. So if that happens, just find a different shape for you that works. Coming back to something easier or something rested. Make sure you don't ignore what your body is telling you for the next 20 minutes. So as we lie here, feeling rested, we're going to take the mind to the breath. And you may want to bring your hands to your tummy for this next section, or they can stay rested by your side. And on the next inhale, you're going to breathe into the tummy, feeling the tummy rise. So for a count of 3, we're going to inhale 1, 2, 3 through the nose, and then exhaling through the nose and resting. And again, so we inhale 1, 2, 3, and exhale. So inhaling again through the nose, 1, 2, 3, feel the belly expand, keep going into the ribs, 4, 5, 6, and let go, exhale. Breathing into the belly, 1, 2, 3, into the ribs, 4, 5, 6, and exhale. Let it go. Inhaling into the belly, 1, 2, 3, to the ribs, 4, 5, 6, keep going into the chest, 7, 8, 9, hold for a second, and exhale, relax. Into the belly, 1, 2, 3, into the ribs, 4, 5, 6, into the chest, 7, 8, 9, holding and releasing, let it go. And now just bringing your breath back to a normal pattern. Just taking a moment to notice how you feel now, having spent that time just focusing on the inhale and exhale. Consciously breathing can really calm the nervous system. So as you bring your breath back to a normal pattern, let's bring the arms out to the side, just to shoulder height, and just feel that upper body relaxing into the mat. As you bend your knees, bring the soles of the feet into the mat. And on the next inhale, you're going to allow both knees to fall over to the right hand side. And as you exhale, bring them back up to center. Inhaling, allow them to drop down to the left. Exhaling back up to the center. Inhaling, bring the knees down to the right. Exhaling, back up to the center. Inhaling, drop down to the left. Exhaling, back up to the center. And then bringing one and then two knees in towards the chest. One hand on each knee and gently rocking from side to side here, feeling that lovely massage into the lower spine. And then knees, ankles and feet together. You're going to allow both knees to fall over to the right hand side. Take the right hand on top of the outside of the left leg and bring the left arm up to shoulder height if that feels comfortable in the shoulder, and gaze towards that left hand if that feels comfortable in the neck. And just checking in all the way through our class that you're breathing in and out gently through the nose. Let's bring those legs back up to center, and then maybe a little rock from side to side here, and then we're just going to allow both legs to fall down to the left side, left hand on top of right knee or outside of the right leg, right hand to shoulder height, and taking that gaze down towards the right hand if that feels comfortable. Your breath is a really good gauge as to how your body is feeling. So if there's any moment where you realise you're holding your breath, then you've probably taken it a step too far. Let's bring those knees back into the chest. So if your breathing stops at any point or feels laboured at any point, then make sure you just come back to an earlier position or a different shape that feels right for you. Let's roll over onto one side and bring ourselves up to seated. We're going to meet in easy pose on the mat. So a seated position, maybe your legs are crossed, maybe you're sitting on a cushion, maybe your legs are straight out in front or one leg is straight out in front. So a shape that feels easy for you in this seated position. Let's sweep our hands up and out to the side above your head, and then we're going to allow the right hand to drop into the mat and come into a lovely sideward stretch. Maybe taking the gaze underneath the left arm, and we just feel a space being created between left fingers and left hip. Make sure that left hip is still down towards the floor. Let's inhale and lift up. We're going to drop the left hand behind and bring the right hand onto the left knee and come into a seated twist, taking that gaze over the left shoulder. Let's unwind and bring that right hand behind, pressing both hands into the mat, feeling an opening through the chest, maybe taking the gaze up towards the ceiling, just closing the jaw a bit, pushing the tongue gently into the roof of the mouth. Can just feel a lovely stretch through the throat. Bring the gaze back to the front. Let's bring the hands round in front, and we're going to come into a forward fold over those legs, just to your measure. You don't have to come down too far. Do what feels right. Let's walk the hands back in, and if your legs are crossed, we're going to take the cross in the other way. So bring the other leg in front, and then as we inhale, we sweep the arms out to the side, up above your head, and this time we're dropping the left hand into the mat and coming over to that left side, creating space through that right side. Two sit bones on the floor. Maybe gaze goes underneath the right arm, shoulders away from ears. Let's take one more moment here in this lovely side stretch. And on the next inhale, sweep that right arm up, land it in the mat behind you, bring your left hand to opposite knee and come into that seated twist. So right hand is encouraging the spine straight, the left hand is encouraging the spine into a twist. Let's unwind, gaze back, comes back forwards, bring that left hand behind, pressing into the mat. Feel a stretch and space being created through the chest, the collarbones, the throat. Gaze back forwards and bringing arms back round to the front. and to your measure, stepping those hands forward and just folding over those legs. And taking one more moment here, using the hands to bring you back up to a seated position, maybe using the hands to bring knees back up, and we're going to come round into an all fours position. So meet me in tabletop, and then just check in that your knees are under your hips and your hands are under your shoulders. Nice splay of the fingers, so fingers stretch apart, hands look like starfish, and on the next inhale you're going to bring your gaze and your tailbone upwards, feeling a dip in that back, and then as you exhale, round and dome the spine, gaze falls between knees, and then let's go again. So we're inhaling, tailbone and crown of head come up, and we're exhaling, pressing that upper back in towards the ceiling, tailbone drops and curls under. Let's inhale and extend the spine, and we exhale as we round and dome, pressing that back up towards the ceiling. Let's come back into neutral. You're going to bring your big toes together, knees come slightly apart, bring your bottom back towards your heels, stretch your hands forwards, forehead comes down towards the mat, land the forehead if that feels comfortable, and we'll rest here in child's pose just for a moment. Bring hands, lift the upper body up, knees come back in together. Let's come back into that tabletop position, and then you're going to step the right foot in between the two hands. So give it a bit of a helping hand if needed, so you can always grab your foot and step it forwards, and it lands in between the two hands. Now it's important that your knee is right on top of your ankle just to protect that knee, so just double check that your foot isn't too far back, and you can stay here with your hands on the floor if that feels most comfortable for you, or it might be that you want to bring your hands up to that front thigh. You might want to bring your hands in prayer position, or maybe even sweep your hands up above your head, up towards the ceiling, and just take a sneaky peek down if you're up here, just to make sure you can still see your toes over that knee, just to protect that knee. Sinking the hips towards the mat, maybe taking the gaze up. Let's take one more moment here, and then we're going to sweep the arms round. One hand lands either side of that front foot, foot stays where it is, bring the hips back towards that heel, and just taking a moment in this half split, noticing where you can feel this stretch. Step the right hand on the inside of that right leg and sweep the right leg back to meet the left. Reset those hands into a tabletop position, and then we're going to step the left hand in between the left foot, in between the hands, and we're going to go onto the other side. So let's take a big step forwards with that left foot, and again just coming into that position where your ankle is directly underneath the knee on that left foot. You can stay with your hands on the floor, or maybe bring your upper body up. Hands might be in prayer, or maybe you're sweeping your arms up above your head. Just take a sneaky peek down and make sure you can still see those toes over that knee, just to protect that front knee. We don't want to put any more strain on it. So alignment is really important here. Sinking the hips down into the mat, noticing where you feel that stretch. It's so good if you've been sitting for a long time today. One more moment, and then we're going to sweep hands around. They're going to land either side of that front foot. Foot stays where it is, but bring those hips back towards that back heel, and just notice where you can feel that stretch now in this half split pose. Just take one more moment here, and then let's step the left hand on the inside of that left leg and bring that left leg to meet the right, and then we're going to pop our bottom back down onto the mat, and come into a seated position with our legs stretched out in front. Legs can be together or have a slight gap. It's quite important here that your spine is nice and straight. So if you are very hunched in this position, one option is to bend your knees. Just take that strain out of the backs of the legs. Another option is just to lift your hips up, so sit on something, maybe fold a blanket or a couple of cushions and just raise the hips off the ground a little bit. So we're aiming for a lovely straight spine, and it might be that actually today this is where you are. You're just practicing sitting with your legs out in front. This is not a natural position. We probably don't sit in this position very much or ever. So you may want to just practice being here, and maybe that feels good for you today. Maybe you can bring your hands forwards. Maybe you can, from the pelvis, you can tilt and tip forward. So make sure you're not tilting the pelvis back and rounding. You're tilting from the pelvis, coming forwards. Maybe you can reach your shins or your ankles. Maybe you can hook your first two fingers around your big toe, bring it relaxed into the knees, make sure your knees aren't locked out, and trying to think length through the spine rather than rounding down. So we think length through the spine, and we aim for our nose to come towards our toes rather than our forehead to come towards our knees. This forward fold is a nice relaxed, calming position. Just coming in, maybe bringing a close to the eyes, focusing back in on that breath. I'm going to take one more moment here. And then maybe using those hands to bring you back up to a seated position. We're just going to simply bring the hips forwards, and in a safe way for you, you're going to bring yourself back down into a lying position on the mat. Maybe knees stay bent, maybe legs are stretched out. So choose a lovely, comfortable, rested position to finish with. Bringing a close to the eyes, focus back to the breath. And just take this time to check in and notice how your body is feeling now. On the next exhale, just notice how your legs are loose, knees are soft, feet are relaxed. Inhaling through the nose, relax the belly, relax the hips. On the next exhale, feel the tension releasing from the chest, shoulders, backs of shoulders feel heavy in the mat. Notice the weight of the arms on the floor. Notice the length in the back of the neck. Throat feels soft. Soften the features of the face. And just notice how the belly gently rises and falls with the breath in these last few moments as we relax. Allow the mat to hold you. There's no need to hold on to any tension. And then bringing some movement back in, so wriggling your fingers, wriggling your toes, bringing a bend to the knees, knees coming towards your chest, and gently rocking from side to side. And then when you're ready, rolling over onto one side. And let's take a moment here. And then when you're ready, let's meet in a seated position. Maybe the eyes are still closed. Let's take one more breath here. inhale, we're going to sweep the arms out to the side, up above our heads, palms meet, hands to heart center. Namaste. Thank you for joining.